Hello there and welcome to the channel. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. Today I'm going to be doing a bit of a mixed media Monday project, but also I'm joining in on a collab and it's called Find the Fun in Feb, and it's hosted by Art with Hazel and Candy's Crafty Creations, and it's running through the month of February. So I'll be doing a couple of videos joining in on this challenge, and it has a hashtag. So the hashtag is hashtag FFF2026, and I will link both the ladies' channels below for you to head over and have a look at their videos that are talking about the challenge for February. So the first prompt we're working on today is circles, spots and dots. And you can see that I have got quite a lot of circles in front of me. And I use circles to smash my scrap. I'll show you my scrap box of pattern paper. Here it is here. And when it starts to get piling high, you can see it's not too bad at the moment, I pull out bits of scrap paper. Now this has just got all types of paper in it, not cardstock. I put my cardstock in something else, but you can see that it has newspaper, it has scraps of journaling paper, it has scrapbook paper, it has book pages. There's some book pages out of a typing book and whatever. So I just throw all of my pages or scraps into here, and then when it's getting a little bit unruly, because I keep this in a drawer, if it starts to overflow, I stick a whole lot down. So if the paper is like scrapbook paper and it's thick enough, I don't stick this onto anything. I just die cut that into circles. So these pieces here, they would just get cut into circles. And I use just a set of circle dies, and they're not decorative ones that I do. Most of the time I just do plain circles. Now these dies, I think they're from Stampin' Up, and I may have got them maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. So they will be retired, but I'm pretty sure you can just get circle dies from Amazon in descending sizes. The other thing that I use is circle punches. So I load up quite a bit to go through the die cutter, and then I also use circle punches to punch out other things if it's quicker and easier. Now you'll see that some of my scrap is on paper. So if it's really thin paper, so this paper here is just standard copy paper, and so it's not very thick. And this paper here is obviously sheet music, and it's a little bit brittle. So if the paper's not stable, I stick it on some old visual diary pages. So I have quite a lot of half-empty visual diaries that I can be using to glue pages on. So very basic, I just glue it down with glue stick, and you can see that some of it is overlapped and it won't matter. And then I will cut some circles out of this. So that is how I got to cut down a whole lot of discs, and in different sizes. So some of them are quite a bit bigger. You can see here's the biggest one here, and then they descend down to, this is my 1-inch punch that I use. So you can see that I try and stay on top of it. Like if I've got too much paper building up, I tend to do a bit of a run where I will blitz and make quite a lot of circles or dots. So you're probably thinking, that's all well and good, Annie, but what are you making today? Well, I'm going to, for the prompt, I'm going to turn some of these circles into different things. So let me show you what we're doing today. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making some art coins. Now you can see I've got 4 made here as examples. I'll show you them at the end in detail, but you can see that I have layered up multiple circles because I wanted to focus on the shape of a circle a fair bit and use different items that come in the shape of circles. So you can see I have a die cut disc out of some scrap paper. And you can see here that then I have a glittery splattered circle here. And that was left over from when I made happy scraps for the full deck challenge. So I have a box here of when I made happy scraps, and I'm going to use some of these dots today that I made back last year sometime. I've also pulled out some ephemera. I pulled out a clock, and then I've put some washi on it. I've done some splatters and put a sentiment on it that says, "Great things take time." So let me bring out some of the things that I'm going to make, and I'm going to make one similar to each of these 4 today. I'm going to try and use a little bit of mixed media and do a few different things on each one. So you can see here I have a happy scrap. I have my die cut piece of scrap, and this was a piece of cardstock that had been embossed. Then I have a disc to mount it on so that it makes it a little bit rigid, and I've inked the edge of that. And I have a clock, and I have another circle that I have cut left over from when I created my journal cover, from the image from that, and a little sentiment. The clocks are from All and Create, and it's number 26, and it's called TikTok. And you can see that it's got a whole lot of different sized clocks in it, and it's got 60 pieces. I got them in my last All and Create haul. So I'm going to put a little bit of ink onto this embossed disc because I want to help show up some of the texture, and I want it to have a nice fluidy edge to it. So I'm going to use some Victorian velvet. So I'll just put down a little bit of ink onto this acrylic block, and my watercolour water is a bit soggy, but that'll be okay. And I'll just dry that off a little bit. Now it's not quite dry, but it's heading there. I'm going to also put on a little bit of my Kuretake Gold watercolour. So I'll just spritz it and put a little bit of water into it. And I just want to drop some gold around the edge. And we'll give it a bit of a spray as well. Get it moving a bit. And it's getting a nice marbly look to it. All right, now that's quite saturated. I'm going to set that to the side and let it dry. Okay, so now you can see that it is dry. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to load it up. So I wanted these projects to be fairly quick. I did want to use a little bit of mixed media on it, but I also wanted it to be a quick project to put together. Okay, so you can see here I've got some nice metallic on the background with quite a bit of movement on it. And I'm going to now work out where I want things, and then I'll also do some inking. And I'm liking these little dots sticking up, so we might utilize those. And I might stick this under here. Yeah, that looks good. And then I have a sentiment that says live in the moment, so we might run it across the clock. Okay, let's build that up. So let's just ink the edges of some of these things. And I'm using the Victorian velvet again. And then I may put a little bit of vintage photo on as well, just to darken that edge up a bit. It looks lovely with the gold. So now you can see that it's curled quite a bit, and that's because of the watercolour. And that's why I have another base to stick it down to. But we'll do that in a moment. So I'll just hold them where I want them and drop a little bit of glue under so that I can find the locations, and then I'll come back in and glue it properly. I hope you're all doing well and have had a lovely weekend. You're enjoying getting into some projects. I'm trying to get a few things done to go away, which I think I mentioned on another video. Trying to get a few things planned and getting a little bit ahead. Now, the art coins, I'm going to show you at the end that I'm not going to make art coins out of all of them. I'm going to actually create the art coins, but then show you that if you get it to a certain level, you can turn it into different products. So we'll have a look at that. I'm going to make them all as if they're art coins, and then some of them I'll convert them to something else, which is fun because it means that you can do a mass make and make a whole lot and just play, and then you can come along and think, oh, well, I've got a box of art coins, but what else can I do with them? Well, I've got some ideas. Now I'm going to cut these circles off. Sometimes I leave them hanging off the edge, but you could definitely extend it off the edge and they look good. And I also think that I might put a little bit of washi on this one as well. So I'm just going to use All and Create number MT number 2, and it's got some numbers and text on it. So I'll just rip it off and tear it so it doesn't have a straight edge. And we'll balance out some of this black. Yes, that's good. Okay. Now I'll just put the sentiment on, and we'll do some line work and some splatters at the end on all of them all together so that it's a little bit more efficient. So I'm going to just nestle in our sentiment here. There we go. There's our first one. Okay, so the last thing we'll do now is we'll just glue that to the back. And I'll put a decent amount of glue on that because I want the back to help to straighten it out. And burnish that down. So let's put it under the mat and we'll go on with the next one. Okay, so here we go. We've got our piece of, this is actually out of a magazine. So I've glued it onto some cartridge paper and I've got a disc. I have a little bird out of a magazine as well. And I have one of my happy scraps. And then I have some other bits and pieces. Now these grungy bits here, I have two things to show you with that. These little bits of ephemera here, I'll show you where I got them from. I got this one here out of All and Create EP number 67, and it's called Clipped Mailers, and there's 64 pieces in it, and it's got lots of sort of rusty, grungy sort of things in it. And then the piece of rusted metal, and it looks like it's some sort of hinge, I got from EP66, and it's called Bolted Gears, and it's like a steampunk kind of pack, and it's got 146 pieces. So that's where I got those from. The ones that I'm using where I've got a number on them, I actually use a digital download that I bought, and it's from J. Lee Lou Designs. And this one is called Antique Metal Tags. So there's lots of different sizes, but I like using the smaller ones. On this one, I'm wanting to emphasize the fact that we've got a prompt that's about circles and create some sort of landing spot for our little bird here. So let's ink up the edges of this, and I'm going to do the same colors. I'm going to use some Victorian velvet and a little bit of vintage photo just to grunge that edge a little bit. And I might just blend it out a bit. Don't want it to have too much of a line. And I think that I'll just stamp on. I've got this text here, and it's from a retired Stampin' Up! stamp, and it's called Queen Bee, and it's just got a little bit of text on it. I'll just grab some of that vintage photo that's hanging around and just roughly stamp just some loose words on there, not being too particular. So let's build it up now. Work out our bird. Oh, that looks pretty good actually, doesn't it? So let's glue those down. And I'll ink up my bird. Now you'll notice that I didn't glue down all of the edges, and that's because I'm not sure where I want to tuck things yet. He's pretty cute, isn't he? Alright, we'll just trim him up, and he needs some white splatters on him, so we'll definitely put white onto him at the end. We'll stick him to the back. Okay, there he is. We'll stick him under the mat and we'll do the next one. Okay, the next one is a bit of a mixture of things. It has some scrap brown paper, as you can see, that I've die cut. Got a piece of leftover cardstock, and it's been embossed with a sort of like a rattan pattern, and it's got a little bit of gold and black on it. And I've got some mushroom digitals that I have cut out, and I'm not sure where I got these ones from. I'm sorry. I've got a few digitals that I don't really know. And then I've got a few more of those little hingey things from All and Create. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stamp the edge like I did last time and just put a little bit of text around. And once again, I'm going to drop a little bit of watercolour onto that. So let's get our watercolour going again. Yes, I'm happy with that. I wanted that ink to pool a little bit, which it did. And the gold is lovely just around the edge. It'll look lovely with the vintage photo on it. And this one's got a little bit of gold on it, so that's why I wanted it on there. And we're going to nestle this on, put our mushroom on. Everyone's getting back into normality. Everyone's gone back to work, and the children are back at school, and soccer's started back up, and dance lessons have started back up. So we're all busy at the moment. Some of you may have seen my recent haul video after work the other day on my way to having my eyes tested, and I called into a couple of thrift stores, and I must have just timed it absolutely perfectly when they'd put out some very interesting things, because I scored some fantastic bits and pieces. It's probably the best haul that I've ever had, really, and things that are a little bit unusual that I've been wanting for a while but haven't found, you know. So I'm going to have to start playing with some of those things. Yes, so head over, if you haven't watched the haul video and you love getting some, you know, bits and pieces to do junk journaling and collage with, head over to my haul video, have a look. I got some piano roll, and it's got all those holes, perforations in it, all the punched holes in it, and I've been wanting to find some for quite a while, and they're so hard to find. Unless you're going to go down the rabbit hole and try and search for them and find them, which I don't do that. I just think, well, let's see what Providence is going to afford me today when I go. I don't sort of go hunting on Marketplace or eBay or anything like that. But I got 3 piano rolls that I'm going to have a really good think about what I'm going to do with it. Alright, let's work out these labels. Everything has beauty. Isn't that true? Oh yes, he's nice, isn't he? And I'm actually going to leave this one on. You see, you would have noticed that I was going over the edge a bit. I just liked the edge going off. And we'll just repeat a little horizontal band on the other side with a number on it. It says 939. We'll glue on the back. Let's put a bit of vintage photo onto it. Okay, he's looking okay too, isn't he? Let's slide him under the mat and we'll do the last one. Okay, now our last one, it should be reasonably quick. We have a persimmon. Oh, actually, I don't know what it is. I think it's a persimmon, maybe. And it is out of this collage book. It's a botanical art cutout collage book, and it is from the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew. And I actually picked this up at Coles here in Australia. I got it last year, and it has a lot of William Morris printed on the back of the pages. So you get a little bit of pattern paper on it as well, but it has different sections. It's got fruits and vegetables, cactus and succulents, leaves and trees, fungi, and then lots of different flowers in different colours. So you can see, and it's got a lovely matte finish to it, the paper, but the only thing is it's very thin. So you kind of need to back it or glue it onto something that is fairly stable. And I've just got a piece of old book page out of a gardening book. I've got a label. I think this label is from Margaret at Seven Plaza. Not sure which kit, but it's from there. And I have another metal number label from J. Lee Lou Designs. And I'll use a little bit of washi from All and Create number 15. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just ink this up. This one should be reasonably quick. I am going to stamp a few dots on this. And we'll put our label on. So let's ink those up. Yes, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? And then we'll tuck this down here. Let's move that over a bit. Let's get that label down so that it's straight. Our fruit that I don't know what it is. If you know what fruit this is, please leave a comment below telling us what fruit it is. Okay, and we'll glue our label on. I want that to tuck under there and just overlap a little. Okay, that's pretty cute. And we'll glue it together and we'll pop it under our mat as well. Okay, there's our last one. So let's pop him under the mat and I'll clear the decks and I'll bring them all out and we'll do some splatters and we'll do a little bit of pen work on them. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so we have the first one that we did, and I think that this one might just need a little bit of black stamping here and there. I think that this one, our bird, he needs a little bit of white splatter on him. We need some white splatter on this one, and I think we need a little bit of white splatter on this one. So let's do stamping first, and I'm just going to use a splatter stamp that I've got in my stash and a little bit of VersaFine, and I'm just going to stamp a few dots just here and there. Just to balance out that black. Yes, I think that's all it needed. And then I'll put a little bit of pen work on it. So that's the black splatters. You can see also I just put some of that washi on that I said that I would do. I forgot that earlier. So now that it's dried, I've put it on. And I'm just going to use some Liquitex acrylic ink. Get my watercolour brush out. Yes, that's good. Now I don't want this on the sentiment, so let me put my finger over the sentiment. And our birdie here, we don't want it on his face. Okay, I'll dry those off and we will clean up our splatters and we'll have a look at everything. Okay, I've dried off all those splatters and I'm just going to show you on this one how I do a little bit of line work. So I've got some dots here that I'm going to draw around and just put some wiggly lines around them just so that it makes them pop out a little bit more. And I'm going to go around the edge of the other one as well. I have a very fine pen. I don't want it to be too prominent. And I'll go around the outside edge of my clock as well. And then lastly, I just want to scratch around some scratchy lines around my sentiment so that it stands out a little bit as well. There we go. So you can see the dots jump out a little bit more. So let's have a little look at what we've got. We've got our 2 clock dot faces, and it's got some mixed media on it. It's got ink, it's got some watercolour, it's got some pen work and some washi tape. And on my Happy Scraps, it's actually got acrylic ink and it's got acrylic paint as well on the Happy Scraps. So there's those two, and you can see they're blank on the back because I'm just leaving them because I'm not sure what I want to turn them into yet. There's those two. Then we have our 2 mushrooms. Now, I did this one with you, and you can see I've put some pen work around it, and I've also put some splatters on it. And then this was the one I did off camera, and it's got some watercolor on it, some stamping in the background, and then it's got some washi tape. And I've gone around the mushroom with the line work just so that it pops out a little bit. And this says everything has beauty, and we've just got a few numbers on it. And this one's blank on the back, but this one I have actually drawn a circle around it and then drawn some lines on it, and I've turned it into a journaling spot. So all I did to do that was I just took out one of my dies that was slightly smaller, and I traced around it. And then you can see I just did some pen work lines on it. I didn't use a ruler, I just did it freehand. This would be perfect for slotting into a pocket in a journal, and then it's a nice little journaling spot. And that's something else that you can use your artist coins for. Okay, then we have our 2 birds, and this was the one that I did with you, where you can see that I did those splatters and I've put a little bit of pen work around him. And then this is the other one that I did off camera, and it's much the same. It probably doesn't have as much inking or stamping in the background, but it does have a happy scrap in it, so it's already fairly busy. And just a little bit of pen work, and those ones I've left blank. so that I can do whatever I want with them. And then the last ones, these are our 2 fruits, and this was the one I did with you on camera, and I've done some line work around the fruit and done a few squiggly lines, and the splatters give it a little bit of a lift. And this was the one that I did off camera, and it looks like it's maybe a quince or some sort of apple maybe, and it's got a little bit of washi on it. It's got some watercolour in the background, this one, and some splatters, and then they're blank on the back. But you'll see that this one I have put an eyelet in it, and I've turned it into a tag. So your circle artist coins can be easily turned into a tag as well. So you've got 3 options there. So one other thing I just wanted to mention was I don't think I told you the sizes of my discs. So the bigger one is 7.5 centimeters, which is 2 7/8 in diameter. And the slightly smaller one is 6.7 centimeters, which is 2 5/8 inches. So there's the 2 sizes that I've used, and I have to just use whatever size I've got as a die. So you've got quite a few options there to bust your scrap pile, make some circles out of your scrap pile, and then when you just want to do a little project, make a few artist coins. And if you've got a whole stack of artist coins made and you need some tags, it's easy to turn them into a tag. And if you need some journaling spots, it's easy to turn them into a journaling spot. So there we go. There's my project today for circles, spots, and dots. All right, that's all from me today. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching me have a lovely Mixed Media Monday play, making some artist coins focusing on circles, dots, and spots. And that's for the challenge ran by Hazel and Candy, and it's called Find the Fun in Feb, and the hashtag is hashtag FFF2026. And I will leave both Hazel's YouTube channel, which is Art with Hazel, and Candy's, which is Candy's Crafty Creations, information below, so that you can go and have a look at the challenge as well. But if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, that would be wonderful, and subscribe to the channel. And if you know what the fruits are on these 2 images, please leave a comment below, because I'd love to know what they are, and tell me which one you like the best out of all of the coins. That would be great. All right, I hope you have a wonderful week playing with something fun and new, and I will see you again on Thursday with another project. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Bye for now.